Good morning, fellow students. I really hope that you guys have been enjoying this show because debate is quite possibly one of the most entertaining times you will ever be involved with Senate. But I need to bring things on to a very serious note because Student Senate is just that. It's a very serious matter. And Student Senate, its body was created in order to aid students. And I'll read you that it was created to act as a liaison between the undergraduate students, the faculty, and between the undergraduate students and the administration. And in doing so, acts as a protector and defender of student rights, liberties, and interests. These are powerful words, ladies and gentlemen. I can't stress it. Powerful words. The fact is, here, NJIT Student Senate, we are governed by a set of rules. The Student Senate Constitution. A constitution that I fight to hold every time I attend a meeting, every Wednesday at 2:30, every time I attend a committee meeting, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Anybody on campus knows where to find me during those times because I'm working for the students. Now, everybody, during this campaign season, you've all seen my flyers. Everybody's made jokes. Oh, the shield and sword of student advocacy, ha ha ha. Legend of Zelda, everybody's seen it. The jokes have been said, jokes have been made. But where the jokes stop is the fact that these claims of me being the shield and sword, of student advocacy is not false. It's completely true. The fact of the matter is that on behalf of the Student Senate, I have constant meetings with the administration. The administration, many of you do not even know their names or what they do here on campus. My experience on Student Senate is revered. Little competition when compared to other members on Senate. Student Senate has become my life. Student Senate has become something that I defend. Student Senate takes up my life. Now, my time on Student Senate, strengthen GDS, jumpstart measures for new printing systems, hopefully event at NJIT. The accomplishments, the list, what I tackle, what I take on goes on forever. And I will never stop whenever a student asks me to do a job for them. I am the conscience of NJIT. I am the conscience of the Student Senate. I am the candidate to vote for.
Hi everyone, my name is Nkem, and the reason I'm running for Vice President of Student Affairs is because I know that not only do we have problems here on campus that need to be solved, but also there are a lot of opportunities that need to be taken advantage of. So let me tell you about myself in the Senate. I spent 3 semesters here in the Senate. My first 2 semesters as the Information Systems Rep. Now, among my accomplishments was the fact that I was able to work with the administration to promote my major and to redesign and remarket it, thereby increasing the enrollment in my major. One other notable accomplishment I was able to do was that I was able to take core weekend classes that students didn't like taking. I was able to work with the administration to put those classes on the weekdays, something my students appreciate a lot. Now, currently, I'm the College of Computing Sciences rep. What do? I work with all the major reps to promote my college. And we also help our students in earning their degrees and using these degrees post-graduation. I'm running for Vice President of Student Affairs because I've been able to represent my constituents in the best way ever. When I was the IS rep, I held my first feedback session with 18 people in attendance. This semester, the College of Computing Sciences held a feedback session along with 5 other people, and we had 45 students in attendance, the largest ever at any feedback session this semester. What does that tell you? I bring results. I know what to do, and I know how to approach my students. I have experience in working with teams and in helping people achieve goals. These are successful qualities I believe any leader should have, and this is why I believe you can trust me to represent you as the Vice President of Student Affairs. Thank you.
There's this mention something called Find My Advisor. It's this feature called Find My Advisor, and I was just wondering what happened to that, or if anyone
Okay, good question. I mentioned that at my feedback session to my college, students in my college, and they asked me about that. Yes, we heard in Dom's speech that the Senate is working towards completing that project. I talked to the Student Affairs Committee. What's up with this project? What did I hear? Oh, well, whatever. Let me tell you something. I would personally finish up any project if not for the fact that I have my priority with my college reps. If I'm elected as Vice President of Student Affairs, I will make sure that those necessary things that students need would actually be seen to completion. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I feel a little to you. So.
Find My Advisor, a great concept, a concept that preceded my administration here on the NJIT Student Senate. In terms of answering the question about it, it has to do with Senate work in general and politics here at NJIT. The fact of the matter is, when you join NJIT and you take up a project, you take up this project knowing full well that it takes time to accomplish this goal. This past semester, Bega Asaf finally completed a project that took him 2.5 years to complete, 2 different Senate administrations, and he's still stuck with it. Jeffrey Alvarez, the man who started Find My Advisor last year, has finally, just this semester, completed a project he started 3 years ago in terms of advising guidelines for professors to follow, which was just voted on the other week.
Thank you, Louis. Yes, you also do have a rebuttal.
Okay, awesome. And let me tell you about the project. It was supposed to be added to the NJIT website, whereby any student at NJIT, you would go there, input your major, and it will tell you where your advisor is, where you can find your advisor, and some basic information your advisor should give you. Now, Jeffrey Alvarez has already graduated from NJIT. What is the Student Senate doing about this? What is Student Affairs doing to continue this? You heard his speech, nothing about that project. What does that mean? Continuity is a problem here. I hope that people's past effort wouldn't be left to die. If you work on something this year, someone else should be able to complete it. Don't help complete the Warren Street Station. I will help see that project completion. Thank you.
What is the most pressing issue in politics that affects NJIT as per your constitutional obligation?
Okay, thank you. Now, because of the fact that I've been able to connect a lot of my constituents, I've been able to notice when people don't come back the next semester. Why? I can't afford tuition. The tuition got raised. What have I done about this? I heard the state discussing budgets. How can NJIT manage that? How can students work for that? Now, I spoke to the director of financial aid. Do you know what he told me? We have a lot of money we're trying to give out, but students aren't applying. What am I doing about that? I send out emails to my college students. This is the website. Here's the paper. If I have to give this to you, apply for this scholarship and you will get more money. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. You have one more left.
You know, that's an amazing point that you bring up, because you know what? Financial aid, you know, students having money to support college, that is the most essential part. And the thing that connects with that is going around within the entire country right now is motivation and usage in terms of restricting the voting of college students. What I mean by this is when you go to a college that is not within your same township, of course you have the right to vote within that area. People are trying to stop that right there, trying to stop the college vote. In order for us to pressure our legislators to get more funding for our higher learning in our university, we need to continue our right to vote, which is why I've already written a letter to my New Jersey State Legislator, Donald M. Payne, of the City of Newark.
So we'll move forward to questions from the audience. I believe Louis still has 2 questions from the audience. Questions for Louis? Prabhat?
How have you worked with GDS over the past year to improve quality?
GDS is a very interesting case. I mean, we have a love-hate relationship. I'll tell you right now, when I first started out, me and GDS, you know, we didn't see eye to eye, but over the year, our relationship has just completely taken off. We now hold GDS feedback sessions, a concept that earlier this year no one ever thought could happen. The fact of the matter is there is now being created a GDS pub committee responsible for the food in the pub that any student at NJIT can join, not just the Student Senate, which Thorne and the rest of the people at GDS are getting ready to send out an email to students asking them if they would like to join and have an impact on the food served here. Bi-weekly meetings with GDS are now common for student affairs.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, NJIT students, I feel you shouldn't be left in the dark. Why was it necessary for you to build relationships with GDS? Now, if you go to GDS, you will know they have one of the best customer service here at NJIT. Someone greets you, and if you have a problem with the food, they help you out with it. It was necessary because earlier last semester, Student Affairs decided it was a good idea to write, tell us about how you hate GDS. And you know what happened? Senate got into trouble for that. I work with my department. I have a good relationship with them. I'm able to tell them what we need in a really polite way, and I'm able to get them to do what students want.
That's an issue between various working administrations. There's been a lot of discussion on whether or not the current administration has been successful. My question is, what are some situations, concrete situations, where you have been in direct conflict with administrations and have cooperated with them to come to a semi-agreeable outcome for both parties?
Clarify the question. When you say direct conflict,
like
what do
you
mean?
don't agree.
Well, we do not see eye to eye on the
At all.
position. Okay, very good question. Within my meetings this past year with administration, I can recall myself being in a meeting with administration in the registrar's office. This is a committee that handles academic constraints and student scheduling, a very hot topic issue. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the responses that were received in terms of The constraints was that it was computer-based, and that there could be nothing done to solve computer-based issues, which is why there are class cancellations occurring. And I fought and I said that, students can't have certain classes canceled because it's required for them. Maybe a small minority, but it's required for them. And so, in terms of altering the system, it's been...
Right, so we'll move forward to one question of choice to opposing candidate. So Louis, you're going to start by asking Nkem a question, and then vice versa.
Okay, Nkem, a lot has been made about, my time here on Senate and what I can do as a Vice President of Student Affairs, especially in terms of the way my committee functions. Now, the question I have for you is that most of the time my committee is a bunch of strong attitude people, which you yourself is a part of. Why is it that for a majority of committee meetings, there seems to have been a correct and concise unison among committee members to disagree or vote down measures that you decided to take on from a majority standpoint where most of the Senate was opposed to what you wanted to take on?
Okay, and Dr. Student, let me give you an example of such situations. I brought up the fact about the Campus Center Computer Lab, and his committee, as he said, in unison said, this isn't a problem students want. Now, last 2 weeks, the class president held a survey. Out of 76 people who answered that question, 60 people said, this is a problem we see and this is something we want to be fixed. What does that tell you? That I still keep in mind that I'm a student and I know what students want. And this is the only way I could identify what needs to be done and not just what I want to do. Thank you. Okay. Now, what would you say? That's it. Now, what would you say that NJIT student will tell you is one noticeable difference he has seen during your time as the Vice President of Student Affairs? What would you say, for example, any student here at NJIT would be able to say, this is what the Senate has done through the Student Affairs Committee that I have been able to see this semester, but not academic here. What would you say?
I would have to say just the fact that GDS services have been increased in a dramatic way. GDS already is the top, catering service here in the state of New Jersey. But at the same time, for a great company to as well as, increase their productivity and their transparency within the student body is something well noticed. We now have more routines in terms of managers making rounds around GDS stations. We have GDS review forms at each station for every student in order to say any problems that they may have. And then also, the idea of a GDS, feedback session is something that people before had never seen before, as well as a new pub committee for regular students.
So we'll now actually move forward to the two-minute closing statement by each candidate. This time we'll start with Nkem.
Okay. Fellow students, right? I don't want to convince you by using fancy words or adjectives on why you should vote for me, but I just want my accomplishments to speak for themselves. I want, during my time as Vice President of Student Affairs, to focus on not what I want to do. I want the focus to be on you. So I don't have set goals. My goal is what that student tells me to do. That's what he wants is what I want to do. Now, I'm not a politician. I'm just a student that cares. And I believe that it's only when you are a student that cares that could truly be the sword and shield of student advocacy.
And with that closing statement, ladies and gentlemen, the maturation of Louis Gonzales is complete. I have been on Senate for 2 years now. Every year is another learning experience. This year has come to a close, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to start all over again, and I'm ready to continue any progress that you need for me to do. Now, the Constitution outlines duties for the Vice President of Student Affairs, but at the same time, I'm not going to restrict myself to those duties. Whether it's adding a constitutional amendment on behalf of the President, whether it's remaining extended hours to help out the Treasurer at events, whether it's helping the VP of Administration with equipment, whether it's just helping a regular senator with public speaking before a feedback session, the very first feedback session. Ladies and gentlemen, I am there for the Senate and I'm there for the students. Anything that is done through the Senate is done for the students. Now, my passion for Senate is something that speaks volumes about my work. Now, I'll tell you right now, I love the Senate, and I encourage all of you on the 11th and the 12th to go out and vote for the candidate that you wish and that you desire would be that candidate that would represent you the best. And as I leave you with an ancient Chinese proverb. To know and not to do is not to know. Now I'm going to please ask you all a favor, please. Take the knowledge and also any information you have learned here and make the right decision in voting for the candidate that you affirm will do that for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the shield and sword of student advocacy. I will continue to be the shield and sword of student advocacy. I am your Vice President of Administration, and I will continue to do so in the coming years.